Avishka, we can begin.
So, very good morning to one and all present today. On behalf of Jaipuria Institute of Management, Indirapuram, I, Avishka Pundhe, student of batch 2021-23, would like to welcome you all for today's guest lecture on Think Smart, Think Big. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to the guest of the day, Sri Saurabh Goel, on behalf of Jaipuria Institute of Management. I would like to thank you, sir, for taking time out of your busy schedule and accepting our invitation. Let me introduce you all to the guest of the day. Sri Saurabh Goel is a senior management professional with over 28 years of work experience. Currently, he is working as an executive president at Havells India Limited, which is a FMEG conglomerate. He is heading the P&L for the company too. He is the president and SBU head for electrical consumer durables from 3 years. Before Havells, he had a rewarding journey of 13 years with Bharti Airtel Limited, where he worked as the CEO of the twin telecom circles, Assam and Northeastern states, that has a market revenue of about 400 USD. His other key goals include business head and leading the strategy and transformation programs in Airtel Enterprises. He has completed his post-graduation in business management from Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, and bachelor's in electrical engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur. He is also known as a man of strong belief who's visionary for the organization he works for. We are glad to have you here, sir.
Thank you, Avishka, and thank you for those great words. I just hope I'm deserving of those words. And so, shall we start, or
I just also want to welcome others as well. Like,
sure. Sorry, please.
Dr. Ashwini Vaishne, Dean Student Welfare, Jaipuria Institute of Management. His area of expertise is finance. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Vishka. Thank you.
We also have with us Ms. Kanandi Sachdeva, Assistant Professor, Jaipuria Institute of Management. She takes care of employability of management graduates. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Avishka.
Then we also have with us Ms. Khushbu Pandey, DGM PR and Corporate Communication. She is communication and marketing expert with experience in defining marketing strategies, digital communication, education sales, content writing, and conceptualizing brand strategies. Welcome, ma'am.
Namaste all.
And I would also like to welcome Mr. Gurpreet sir too. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Now, before we move further with the session, let me take you to the history of our institute. Jaipuria Institute of Management was set up by Seth Anandram Jaipuria Education Society in 2001. During the short span of 20 years, under the able guidance of our chairman, Mr. Shishir Jaipuria, Jaipuria Institute of Management is being acclaimed as the leading business school in Northern India. We are known for providing ethically responsible and intellectually sound individuals to the corporate since years, who have been doing well in various sectors and have become an asset for the organization that they are working in. Now, I would like to hand over the digital stage to the guest speaker of the day. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Avishka, and my apologies for interjecting you in the middle. And
Not at all, sir.
So thank you so much, and my own thanks to Dr. Vaishne, Dr. Sachdeva, Ms. Khushbu Pandey, and yourself, Avishka, for inviting me to the forum. I hope today's session would be interesting, I would say, for the students, and we look forward to a good question and answers at the end of my discussion, and I hope you'll help me with that, right? I'll also like to introduce a colleague of mine, Mr. Gunpreet Singh, who's our head of marketing for our switchgear business, who's there with us today, and he'll help me answer questions if there are any from a a marketing and company perspective, right? Okay, should we dive into the discussion talk, Avishka?
Yes, sir, sure.
Okay, great. So good morning once again, dear students, and look forward to a good session today. And one of the things that Avishka was very kind and, kind of introducing me with very rosy words and great words. One of the things possibly was missed out in my CV is that I share the alma mater with you. So I am also a student of Jaipuria School, which is one of the well-known renowned schools in North India based out of Kanpur. And you people and are from Jaipuria Institute of Management. So that is what kind of is another connect that we have with you. So the discussion for today is think smart, think big. So let's let me share some of my thoughts with you. And what I'll do is I'll use a small PPT to bring my thoughts together and stuff. Okay, great. So thanks, Gunpreet. What I see is that everybody wants to become smart, become big by thinking smart, and kind of create big empires. Okay. However, let me right at the start destroy your Saturday morning by saying there are no silver bullets to it. Okay, there's no quick ways or medicine that you can eat and make your empires, and a lot of you would be starting your own startups once you're through with your management, or maybe you have already started now. I think what I will share with you are some nuggets, some thoughts which can help you make things big. If you take examples of companies like BlackBerry, Motorola, Nokia, all were big companies in the space of mobiles or telecommunications, but all of them failed to see the big of smartphones, right? And all of them missed the bus, right? What was different? They were not thinking smart. They were thinking big, but they were not thinking smart, right? So those are the kind of thoughts with which let's start our discussion. So let's pick up the first word, which is smart. What does smart mean? Our generation thought we all understood it. And our generation, when I say it's basically from the 90s to the early 2000s happening, we all thought that what is smart, and I'm sure some of your MBA classes will also state this: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. If you knew this, you would be able to crack the code of taking your organizations to big avenues. However, what we see is, let me break that myth once again. Most of the companies that went through the earlier part of smart was true for mostly 90s and early part of 2000s. But come the middle of 2000, right up to now, what we see is that if you see the statistics, 65% have a well-defined target. They just ran with it, right? What's your target? They have a vague picture, but nobody has a specific target in mind. Or 73% are not time bound. They kind of say that, okay, it can happen in a short period or it can happen in a medium period. So what I'm trying to say is that no longer one person, the way he defines smart, will be similar to the other person, right? What you do, how you do, and why you do, right, will actually define your smart. Okay. So the first myth broken, you have to first define what is new smart, right? Okay. Let's pick up the big one, the second big one, which is the big, right? What is big? And I have a humorous take, and many of you, it's a Saturday, today. So Saturday evening would be more beers than your friends. That would be big or success for you. Or if you ask, a married man like myself, more money I earn, the delta between the money I earn and my wife and I spend, that will be success for me. But what really is big? Is Earth big? Is Jupiter big? Is Sun big? Everything has to be defined in a context. Let me take some examples. Some of these companies like Coke, Amazon, TikTok, Tata, they defined their own big. Coke, for instance. What is Coke's big? Coke says a bottle of Coke at an arm's length, right? And the world is so big. So they define their big in terms of distribution. I should have such a strong distribution that I should be able to provide a bottle in an arm's length, right? What is Airtel's big? Airtel's big is every citizen in the country first, and now the globe, is connected through a telecommunication device. That is their big. Similarly, TikTok in terms of content aggregation, Amazon, in terms of a delivery which is seamless delivery, or various other companies like aggregators, Uber or Oyo. They are defining their own way. So first is you cannot. So the net or the nutshell thing is that you cannot be guided. Somebody else is smart, somebody else. You have to define what you're smart. Then let's move on to the third one, turning business into a. Let me, kind of quiz you, and this is a forum where I can't get response immediately, but what is that I'm talking about? I say this, that 50 years ago, almost, when you look at the bunch of average age of a company on Fortune 500 was about 27. Now what we see in the Fortune 500, that age is reducing. Look at TikTok, for instance, Uber for 12 years, Netflix 20, 25 years, and the other aggregators, etc. Which you have to define your own time frame. So time frame is the question. What is your time frame of making it big or turning an empire, business into an empire, right? It could be a very small time frame. Then you need to be in the space of aggregators where you are not doing something, but you are, kind of bringing an ecosystem together. But on the other hand, if you have to, kind of do something through manufacturing or through services, you have to develop that capability, and developing that capability, takes time, right? So you have to be clear in terms of which business you are and what is the time frame that you guys need to work out in order to see, how we can convert our business into. So let us pick up pace now and see that having defined what is my smart, having defined what means big for me, for my company, my enterprise, and in what time am I going to do this? So these are the first three questions that one needs to answer before you need to say, okay, I'll think smart and become big, right? So let's move to the other part of the discussion. Having defined that, are there any big strategies, silver bullets, as I said, or Gyan mantras that we can really think of converting our organizations into a big, smart, an empire, right? So let's take nuggets from some of the well-known companies and how they have done, right? So let me pick up one example from a person and a company that I deeply admire. And I call the strategy as the growth, organic growth strategy. This person, as a 19-year-old, started a business from his dorm. Eventually, most of you know the story. He was hiring people twice the age as a CEO before he became, he became that big. And that is, what you see on the screen is a kind of an evolution of the company Dell. In around 2010, he realized that his company is and it was a public traded company. He realized that his vision was not being shared by his board, right? And you guys might be very young then. That was an age where PCs were really taking off. 2010s and all, PCs were, so all boards of the companies were saying, concentrate on PCs. PCs is the ways to go, how you need to, grow big. How will you grow big? Look at the examples of, Microsoft or HP, for instance, they are all investing in PCs, right? Here was a gentleman who said, I will invest on PCs, but mainframes and, what do you call it, data storage is also a big market. There, the board and he had a difference of opinion. So he bought his company back from public, from being a public limited at around $20 billion way back in 2012, because he, believed in that vision. And then brick by brick, he developed the company. And, guess what today, even when it is partially public limited. So in 2013, he bought the company back. So from public limited, it became a private limited. And then, it kind of, through VMware, which he bought about a couple of years back, it became partially public traded. So he kind of built it brick by brick through an organic model, right? And, guess what? Today, the, turnover of Dell is almost 100 billion. Right? So this is one of the strategies. Another example of this is a company that I have worked for almost 13 years. 1994-95 was a period where India was opening. A lot of telecom licenses, etc. This is the gentleman who saw this, that they were into, gen sets before that. He saw it in that and really, went on. Again, not through acquisitions. Forget the Africa acquisition for a moment. Even the Airtel India and Southeast Asia operations itself have been grown brick by first acquiring a couple of circles, then acquiring those circles from the other companies and building that network. I hope you know that network is the key in any telecommunication business, right? And how gradually, each tower by each tower, Sunil Mittal built his own company into the 5th largest telco in the world in terms of subscribers, right? So this is again a model in terms of organic. He's foresaw that many Indians would partake of the internet through a mobile device rather than in the West, where a lot of people were partaking of the internet through a PC or a kind of standalone devices, right? And I'm sure what has happened in the last 15 years, you all would agree that a couple of GDP points can be contributed to the super success of what telecom has done for the country in terms of communication. And last 2 years, actually, literally, the company and the world have survived on telecom in terms of working and work from home and all that, right? So let's pick up gears and move to the other strategy. So first was organic, other is inorganic. So these 4 companies, many of you know these 4 companies, and you all believe that they have grown in a very short time. What was the strategy they used? Each of these companies, Apple, Google, Amazon or Facebook, etc., have had some significant acquisitions. You may not be able to see the mnemonic, but this is a mnemonic that I've taken from internet. You will see that many of these companies, one of the more famous ones you would know is how Facebook acquired WhatsApp. And, so they have grown in an inorganic manner. They have grown through acquisitions, right? That's also, another very, very, significant way of growing big. What you do is, okay, what are the areas that this particular company has synergies with me, right? And then you go on to, kind of acquire that company and grow it. So acquisition or inorganic growth could be another route. Another very, kind of admired company, and, no surprises, I work here, so I'm extremely connected to the kind of growth Havells. Havells, had a very humble beginning through our founder. In the course of 60 odd years, we are a 15,000 crore conglomerate. this journey was, partly through organic growth, but most to do with how we this gentleman had the foresight to look at various ecosystem players and acquiring them as he went forward. So just to give you an audacious example, we kept on acquiring. We first acquired Havells as a brand. Then we got listed on the stock exchange. Then we acquired a lot of small companies in fans, lighting, etc., and started developing a portfolio in the consumer durables. Many of you may not know, Havells was a core electrical company, right? And very gradually we built our portfolio in the consumer electric. But something audacious that we did in 2007 is we bought an international company 2.5 times our size called Sylvania in Europe. So just imagine a core businessman from Bhagirath Place of Delhi, had the gumption to acquire an international European-led company 2.5 times its size, right? And they ran it successfully for, they divested it in 2015. And then with that money, went ahead and acquired Lloyd ACs, I'm sure you would know. They are a part of the Havells family. So the growth strategy here was, while I will keep on growing in my core areas of switchgear, meters, cables, wires, but I will also keep participating in the areas where economy is seeing a tremendous growth, namely small consumer durables like fan, water heaters, appliances, etc., but also in big consumer electronics like ACs, TVs, refrigerators, etc. So this is, how or inorganic growth strategy can work. Okay. Moving forward, another company another individual actually that I, Pepsi, Indira Nui, there's a book of you to read this book, how a simpleton from South India, made it so, more of it later. Right now, let's talk about the strategy. What was the strategy when Indira Nui became the, of Pepsi in 2006, I think it was? What did she see? She saw that fun for you is basically Pepsi, drinks, and chips and burritos and Cheetos and those kind of stuff. That was a category which was dwindling because of health consciousness that was increasing. She consciously brought in the categories of better for you and good for you. So Quaker Oats, Tropicana juice, many of those acquisitions were done in her time. And then what she did was, her purpose of Pepsi's presence, and in that book she mentions that a lot of big distributors of Pepsi and all were very upset, saying that, what are you trying to be? You're trying to be Mother Teresa? I mean, this is a drink that people have enjoyed for all their lives. They will continue to do so. But she saw it, and there's another very good instance in her book where she says that she invited, she had young daughters, so she invited young daughters' friends on her daughter's birthday, and many of the children said that, Auntie, we will not drink Pepsi because our teachers have told, or our parents have told, that it's not healthy. That was the time she saw the things of science. And she created those categories of better for you, good for you. And when she left, 50% of Pepsi's revenue were coming from better for you and good for you categories. And, another very important statistics is she added 55 billion to the net worth of Pepsi. So what I'm saying is that you need to see the signs of things to come and then repurpose your kind of goals, right? Another very important and closer home is a category, is a conglomerate called Tatas. You all know how philosophically they have been able to repurpose their, and something, they have a stated philosophy, responsibility, excellence, we would be pioneers in the field that we do, and unity of all employees and all stakeholders. Anything to kind of which goes against the unity of the entire ecosystem. And lo and behold, they are at 103, maybe 110 billion kind of turnover. So if you repurpose, and they are into various categories, and you can say what a strategy, you are in automobiles, you are in, kind of hotels, you are in various other kind of fields. What they are saying is their philosophy is about integral values, and they have built their, entire portfolio around the values, right? And, airlines is obviously, is the latest example. So having traversed and Airtel kind of examples, inorganic growth through through Havells kind of examples. There's another very good example, which I didn't say today. In inorganic growth is about Disney. Disney has also grown as per the inorganic growth strategy, because they were looked at as, fuddy-duddy and for children kind of a group, and how they transformed, into a very big kind of a, very meaningful audience for today, like Avengers and Marvel and, what have you. So they have also transformed. So second is about inorganic. Third is about repurposing, and Pepsi and Tata is an example of that. Moving forward in terms of what you think today will not or may not survive tomorrow. And you may not see the chart, but what's mentioned in the chart are about 22 jobs which will come up in the next 10 years, which are either non-existent or very, very, have a very small existence. What this basically means is 50% of the jobs as we know today, right, will cease to exist in the next 10 years. So, just to give you an example, a postman. Postman was such a coveted job in our parents' time and many, all through our times. Where is a postman's job today? Right? So just to give you a small example, but there are many categories that you will see are changing. The way of working or the customer preferences have changed the nature of the job. Right? So while you, kind of make big plans for your enterprises, your organizations, you have to see whether what I'm doing today will be relevant. The skill that I'm acquiring today, the kind of skill sets that you're acquiring today will be relevant in tomorrow's world or not. Right? And strategy which I would like to really focus on, and friends, this will become much, much more relevant in your world, meaning, we are on the other side, but let's say when you start your and your needs, etc., really be important is how societally beneficial your organization. I'm sure you must have heard about the triple bottom line. Right. So earlier, when, all through the industrial revolution, where people were growing, it was all about profits. What I see in the last 10 years, it's all about scale. Profits have, many of the non-profitable companies like Amazon and all are getting such a high valuation. So profits have become secondary. It's become scale. What I see in the future and what would be very relevant in your, kind of era is about how relevant is your line of work or your organization from a societal point of view. Are we using too much of, resources from the nature? Are we giving back to nature? Is it harmful for the society? Are we into coal manufacturing? Are we into fossil fuel, etc.? You can become big oil companies, all through the 20s, 30s, 40s of the last millennium, last century, were all about, oil companies. Today, none of the oil companies are there in the big Fortune 50 companies. Right? So what I'm saying is that you have to see how your product is getting reconnected with the society and whether it's relevant or not. Okay, so with that, pretty much, I would like to round up, today's discussion, leaving you with one thought that you have to, in your time, you have to think, how is the society going to change tomorrow? What are the needs of the customers that are going to happen tomorrow? Jobs, skill sets that are going to come tomorrow. Indira Nooyi thought about tomorrow and not about what Pepsi sales were today. And she repurposed it for tomorrow. Havells is thinking about what is needed for tomorrow, what kind of innovations are needed for tomorrow. And we have close to 300 engineers working in our labs, working on technologies which will be relevant for the consumers of tomorrow. But think that the only way you're going to make your organizations big, and if I dare say, that's the only way to think smart. With that, I'll come pretty much close, and I'll share my acknowledgements that this is one thing that you guys really need to do, is get into a habit. These are 4 autobiographies really recommend. Know is my life in full. Bob Iger, he's training MD of Himat Rai Gupta. Nice, but when is Michael Dell's journey into how he brought his company back and then made it big. And I'd also like to thank Gunpreet for his contributions for today's discussion with you all. Right, so with that, I'll stop sharing. Back to Avishka and see if our audience have found it useful.
Yes, sir, definitely. Thank you so much, sir. That was a really insightful session. And I'm sure that it would have been same for my friends as well. So I would like to request all the students who have been watching us to write their queries in the chat box, and we'll take it from there, and so would be answering them one by one. So guys, whatever questions you're having, please just post it in the chat box.
Avishka, you can take the questions now. The questions are on the table now.
Yes, sir.
Take one question one by one, please.
Okay, sir. Sir, so the very first question that I would like to ask is that, as a leader in Havells, how did you capitalize the think big principle in difficult times?
Sorry, you'll have to repeat it. How in Havells?
As a leader in Havells, how did you capitalize the think big principle in difficult times?
Okay, so that's a very good question, and thank you for that. In difficult times, I would assume the pandemic-led times. Is that what the writer is mentioning? So I'll assume that. So in our crisis-led time, you're absolutely right. We all had to think out of our boxes, right? And leaders like us, we who had a chip on the shoulder and we thought that we knew everything. We have been so successful all our lives. But as soon as pandemic hit us, we realized that we had to think new. We had to think creatively, right? Everything had stopped all of a sudden, right? At the same time, we being in a consumer industry, our consumers were continuing to demand our goods and services and after-sales services, etc. So we had to immediately, almost overnight, learn new things. First and foremost was the principle we had to give up was that everything can happen, through physical contact. We immediately, set up, systems, processes, and Gunpreet is here, he can possibly add in terms of how we as a company started, kind of working from home, through our systems, laptops, and it's not so easy because companies like us are very, very careful about, phishing attacks and, IT security policies, etc. So we had to make our, systems very, very robust for that. Second thing we did was supply chain. Supply chain, structured way of, kind of produce, making the goods reach our warehouses, and then from warehouses to our, all of a sudden when the system stopped, we didn't even know where our goods were. What truck drivers were literally abandoning the trucks and moving away. So within 48 hours, our IT systems came in to help us. We knew within 48 hours, each and every consignment that was lying wherever. And in many cases, we had to take up, kind of warehouses, etc., closer to our sites and at least protect our goods that have gone. Another, example of that would be, customers, how, when the shops are closed, how the customers are being serviced. So we adopted a new model called O2O, which is online to offline. So customers were coming and booking orders online, and we were going and passing those orders to the nearest dealer of ours. Let's say South Delhi area, a dealer of ours will be there, and he or she would go and service the community within that group. So instead of customer coming to our outlets, we were in a way going to the customer. So some examples of that, we could have a talk some other day on, how we managed our crisis, all through that. I think give the questioners some idea about how we managed our crisis.
Yes, definitely. So there's another question for us. So as a leader, what do you think, are there any unconventional ways to solve wicked problems?
Every day, you can no longer solve problems by conventional ways anymore, right? Because you guys are so tough. We have to handle people like, youngsters and people from the millennial generation. We can't use, conventional ways. What our parents did was, show us the eyes, and, we would, just cower down into believing whatever needs to be believed. Here we have to use creativity, innovation every day in our products and services. In, just as an example, let me pick up an unconventional example of after-sale service. When the crisis happened, and even now, people are very reluctant to allow after sales people to enter their houses, right? So we converted a lot of after sales service into small little videos, which can be sent to a customer, and he or she can look at the videos, and there would be a phone, kind of mechanic or a electrician, and the problem will be resolved through a, kind of a part video and part consultation. So this is something that we never knew. After sales service for us is send a person, he will ring a bell, he will enter into you this thing, 1 hour, 2 hour, he'll take and do it. So creativity is there in every walk of life, in dealing with people, in after sales service, as I gave an example of, supply chain management, and certainly in our products and services. Products and services get innovations by default, but, some of the other examples in process, creativity and all is also used.
Sure, sir. Thank you very much. And with this, we'll be moving to the next question, which would be, can a person having average capabilities think big?
Actually, only people with average capability think big. And the other thing, all through my talk, I challenge the questionnaire, how can you even write this? Who defines what is capability? It is your capability, no? All through my first half of my talk, I was defining what smart is, right? You define what capability is. Just to give you an example, my son who's working, after his graduation, he got selected in one of the big consulting houses. 9 months, he resigned and he wants to join a startup. Who defines for him whether, he's right or his, his average intelligence or this or that? What you do, what you want to do, passion defines, what your interest area defines your capability. Who defines? If you always judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, fish will always think that, I'm a disaster. So average intelligence and capability is a wrong word. You have to see in terms of what is the context in which you are, kind of using that intelligence and capabilities, right? So, I'm sorry for coming hard on the questionnaire, but fact of the matter is that, there is nothing called average intelligence. It is your area where your capability and your, passion will define whether you make make a big and a higher impact. Yeah.
Yes, definitely, sir. And with this, I'll be moving to the next question. There's a question by Yash that do the fresh MBA graduates need to reskill themselves, and what skills are expected from the freshers? Now, this is a very common
Sorry,
question.
come again.
Do the fresh MBA graduates need to reskill themselves, and what skills are expected from the freshers?
Why don't I invite Gunpreet to answer this? Gunpreet, you're kind of much younger, and you've gone through this MBA journey and work. Would you want to take this question and give some insights to the people?
Sure, sir. So it's a very, very relevant question in every generation which passes out from the college, and when you're inside the college, you think everything will be good. It will be a smooth journey going ahead. But when you get into corporate, you find a lot of different diversities, different positions, different people you work with. So how I define is that aptitude is something which you gain from your college, from your studies, and attitude is something which makes you successful in your organization or your work or your skill. So you need to blend both of them. I found a lot of my friends who had brilliant mind, brilliant skill, but could not make it big immediately because they had a different, aura or different dreams together. So you need to, match your dreams and also give time for the real world to sink in. Secondly, MBA teaches you something which is, more in a strict environment and, comfortable laboratory settings, right? As sir defined, this world is so dynamic, right? The consumer is changing, the thought process is changing. So you have to adapt every now and then. Even an organization like Airtel, like Havells, we keep on adopting to different techniques, different new customer behavior so that we become more relevant to the consumers. There was a question here that, is it important to be creative digitally? It's not about being creative. It is about getting connected to the people who matter, right? If in case I cannot define or I cannot send my message to the last person in the queue, I may not be effective in getting my things on ground. So I have to make sure that I am relevant for every target, whether it is inside customers, my channel partners, my service people. So to sum up, be very, very open. Don't think about, this is not what I thought about. This is not how I should be treated, how I should be misguided, guided. Just give some time so that you sink in, you take the good part, learn from your peers, learn from people who have more experience than you because they have traveled that journey, and then make your own mark. The time will come when you will get a chance to deliver, but till that time, be patient and keep on learning.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the answer. Now, there's another query by Deepthi, who's asking, when your competitors have come up with innovative products, how do you plan to face this competition as a leader?
So to tell you the truth, we have come up with an innovative, products much before our competitors. We don't allow competitors to come up with innovative products. So that's a small answer, a short answer, but let me answer you fully. So there are instances. I mean, Havells, as you might kind of look at our history, we have come up with many innovative products. We have. And what we have done is we have brought in innovations from different walks of life. So just to give you an example, in fans, the boring looking white fans used to be there. Havells came in and we decided to bring in electroplated fans, which was a technology being used in motorcycles and automobile industry. So we brought in a technology from that world into this world. But yes, sometimes happens where competition comes up with innovative products earlier than you. And let me cite an example again from a fan world, where one of our competition brought in a anti-dust kind of a finish, and we were caught napping. We were we had that technology, but we had not really, kind of marketed or advertised on that. So sometimes what you do, Deepti, is you kind of acknowledge that it's a great innovation and you also adopt it, right? And sometimes, like in this anti-dust case, it was hardly an innovation. It was just one lacquer of a paint, right? Which anybody at no cost could have done. But this company, was marketing it as a big innovation. So what we did was we replaced all our products with that lacquer. And we said that while, anti-dust is an innovation, anti-dust is present in all our products, right? So in a way, we kind of countered that kind of, claim of the competitor, because it wasn't really an innovation. It was just a change of an. But yes, sometimes innovations happen, like BLDC fans. What is BLDC? Usually, some of you who are engineers would know that, the fan runs on electromagnetic motors and stuff, where, you kind of, from an alternating current, it changes to a direct current by use of brushes, right? This technology is brushless, right? So there is no wear and tear, and hence the, rigidity of the motor within the fan increases. Again, one of our competitors and a new startup really, kind of came up with this innovation. And we acknowledged that, and we gradually came in. So yes, we lost out on the first mover advantage, which usually comes with the innovation, right? You get a first mover advantage and you are able to set up that market. So sometimes it happens that competition, kind of comes up with innovation, but you have to go below that to see what is that innovation. Is it really a worthwhile innovation, or is it just PSPO kind of innovation? And what is PSPO innovation? PSPO, every refrigerator in the country had something called PSPO, which is an ingredient within the, kind of packing, with that insulation packing. This company just advertised it. अच्छा, आपके फ्रिज में क्या है? आपके फ्रिज में PSPO है. अच्छा, PSPO है. Everybody had PSPO, but this, so that is no innovation. That is a marketing gimmick. So you have to go to the second level to see whether that innovation is a real innovation, like in the case of a BLDC fan, or it's like a marketing gimmick. Then you just, kind of ignore it. You don't, kind of give any importance to that.
Thank you so much, sir. That was really informative answer. So I'm sure she would have got her answer. And the next query is by Siddhant. Now, Siddhant is asking, how Havells plan strategy for AI interventions?
Very good. Yeah, very good question. AI is moving into most of the product categories. So what we have, Siddhant, is, as I told you in my discussion, about 300 engineers are working on innovation and research products. In Bangalore, we have a center of excellence, kind of a COE, center of excellence, where even PhDs and engineers, etc., are working on very high level research, including AI. So please understand that we are not a research institute. We are a company who are running for a profit purpose, right? However, we keep on investing on those technologies which will benefit our products and services, right? So, AI as a technology is available, but we have to see what aspects of AI, right, would help our systems and processes, right? So we are not doing basic research, but we are adapting that AI technology of our, products. That is what is happening in our Bangalore Center for Excellence. So, if you guys are interested, we could even, kind of plan a visit there and, kind of take you through some of the marquee steps that we are doing.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir. And I would really be looking forward to that for a visit, definitely. And another question that we'd be having is by Kajal, and she's asking, during COVID time, when there was a crisis in the market, what made Havells to sustain?
I answered that briefly. Do you want me to go through it again, or is it, is it good enough? The answer that I gave about, how we manage the crisis, supply chain, etc.
Sure, sir. If we can speak that, we can have another questions. We have a lot of them there. Like there's this one question by Anushka. Why is creativity important in the new digital ecosystem?
Okay, try not doing it. No, I'm serious. I'm saying, can you survive without creativity? Can you even think a day? Forget about products and service. Can you interact with a teenage daughter or a son without being creative? None of the things that our parents did to deal with us. So what I'm saying is creativity, you have two sides of the brain, right? One side is called creative brain, the left side. What will you do not using that side of the brain? So you as a human being are bound, are duty bound. There is millennial years of evolution behind you. So, Kajal, if I get the name right, you are duty bound to keep doing creativity. You have years of, evolution, which is relying on you to take the world forward by doing creativity. So, but on a more serious note, creativity is needed in every walks of life. And I want this myth to be, quelled right here, that creativity is needed only in products. Creativity needed in products, services, processes. Every kind of process needs creativity. So for instance, I gave you that example of how supply chain, we were able to, kind of map our entire goods and services in 48 hours after the lockdown, is because of creativity. We kind of spread across, used our manpower at various places to track down what was the last point of, kind of interaction of that truck or that truck driver, etc. And get the solution. So creativity brings in efficiency. Creativity removes tedium and the stupid doing work, right? That is what we need to do. So creativity is there in all walks of life. And for heaven's sake, don't ignore the left side of your brain, which is the creative part.
Sure, so definitely, I am sure she would have got her answer. And since we are moving towards an end, I'll just take this last question, which is by Aman. So Aman is asking, do men need machine for smart thinking, or it is a limitation?
Actually, men need women for smart thinking. Yeah, men don't need. So it was a very sexist question, Aman. So what you mean is that do humans need machines, right? So if humans need machines, look, the humans actually need brains. Our body is also a machine. At one philosophical angle, you should remove your body also with your mind, right? Your mind is different. So your mind is guiding all machines, including your own body, right? So what I'm saying is that, you have to keep, guys, you have to keep on nurturing your mind. Anything that you do, while it's great to nurture your bodies and become, kind of Mr. Indias and Miss Indias and all that. But what I'm saying is that nurturing your minds is the most important. Once you do that, all the machines, can be, kind of monitored. I mean, look at the kind of innovative research that's happening, for instance, in Tesla and various other companies across the, globe. It's the mind at work. It's the brilliance of the human mind that is, transforming machines, etc. What would a poor little machine do? Where is the consciousness? The difference between a robo and yourself, everything is the same, except for the fact there is no consciousness, right? Where is that awareness? That consciousness is missing. That is what a machine will never have, right? So, kind of with that, let me get back that, of course, human mind is the most important. Human mind, human intellect, human awareness, consciousness. That is something which is most important, which a machine will never have, right?
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for answering all those queries. I'm sure there are a lot more coming now to us by the students as well. But since we are running out of time, so we would be winding it up here. And for me personally, it was really a great session and it has been really insightful. Thank you so much for all the experience and the knowledge that you have shared with
Thank
us.
you.
Now,
If there are any questions, you or Khushbu can send me on a mail or something, and we could
sure.
answer them. I mean, you don't need to feel that their questions are unanswered. I'll definitely make an attempt to answer them. Okay.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much, sir. Now, I would like to call upon Khushbu ma'am for extending a word of thanks to the guest speaker of the day. Over to you, ma'am.
Wow, I'm completely overwhelmed actually. So thank you so much, Saurabh sir, for your insightful lecture on Think Smart and Think Big. In fact, with your remarkable eloquence, you've touched upon so many points that were so relevant to the industry and highly edifying for our students. You've taught us how to navigate through this VUCA world in Industry 4.0, which requires business leaders to think completely out of the box and come up with innovative solutions to complex problems, because we just had such a good round of questions and answers. In fact, your address was so rich in innovative strategies and ideas that can come only with experience of an excellent corporate ecosystem. And in fact, your views were loaded with real life from the business world and even your personal experiences. There's so much to learn from you. So today, sir, you've taught us the need to not just think smart, but also big, and how to handle it smartly. So we are sure that the faculty, students, and all the attendees of today's event have learned a lot from the lecture today. So I thank you, sir, for delivering a lecture that was both inspiring as well as educating. I thank Dr. Devendra Narang, Dr. Ashwini Vaishne, Dr. Ajay Tripathi, Ms. Sanandi Sachdeva, Ms. Avishka, and the whole team of Jaipuria Institute of Management for organizing this session for the students. We also thank all the students who joined us for this event today and for raising such wonderful questions. So, ladies and gentlemen, Jaipuria Institute of Management will continue to bring you more such motivating lectures and sessions in the future. Thank you and stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Saurabh, sir.
Thank you so much. It was really enriching. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
It was
everyone.
really entertaining.
Thank you.